Hey everybody, today we're going to be using Android architecture components to build a basic app that will pass data from one fragment to another fragment. So let me show you what I mean. So if we close the keyboard here, and this is just the emulator in Android Studio. So this green part up here is one fragment, and this red part, the pinkish color down here, is another fragment. So what we're going to do is we're going to type out my name, so I'll say Daniel. I'll click the submit button and it sends it from this fragment to the top fragment. These are two separate fragments, and the gray is just the activity. So just to clarify, we're going to be using Android architecture components, ViewModel, and LiveData. And we can send however much data we need from one fragment to another fragment. So this can be like first name, last name, email address. It could be any data that you want to send from one to, well, not any data, but it can be helpful a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and just get rid of that. Okay, so let's open up Android Studio, and I have a new project opened up. I have Kotlin selected, next. I'm going to select basic activity, finish, and this will take a couple of seconds and it'll get started. So the first thing we need to do is actually add something to the Gradle file. So let's go ahead and Google that. And if we go over to the left, we have adding components to project. You should already have that. So the only thing we really need to add is this right here for ViewModel and LiveData. So we'll go ahead and just copy that, go back to Android Studio, and go into our module, and I'm in Android View there. Go into our module and paste it in there. Go ahead and format that. There's not a space there, but I'm formatting code. So anyway, sync it, and this will pull the Android architecture component stuff into our app. So that's already done. Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up main activity, and you can see there's the path there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff that we do not need. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. So how do we get started? First, I guess we can start with the layout. So right now the default layout just looks like that. So we need to add a couple of things. We need to add a couple of fragments here because we're going to be showing fragments. Because remember, we have two fragments, a fragment on the top and a fragment on the bottom. They send data to each other. So we need two frame layouts. So let's do frame layout. We'll do 0 dp, and we'll do, let's do 100 dp, why not? Enter. And we can make it a self-closing tag because we don't need, let's give this an ID. We'll call this top fragment. There we go. Let's do left, parent, right, parent, top, parent. And this should add our fragment to the top. Now I want to do something. I want to do background number. So I just want to, and we can adjust the color here, but I just want to get the point across that they're separate fragments. Oops. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's the top fragment, or we'll work on that in just a second, but let's go ahead and do our next fragment. So the bottom one, let's do this. Let's do frame layout, and we'll do, what should we do? Oh yeah, 0 dp. We'll make the height, we'll make it 40 dp. Okay, cool. And again, we can make it a self-closing one. So let's give it an ID. Oh, we also need to do this. We need to give it an ID. So ID equals bottom fragment. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing. Left, parent, right, parent, and bottom parent. And that should put it at the bottom. And what I'm gonna, yeah, so we can see down here it's at the bottom, but I'm gonna go ahead and change the background color just so we can know that it's for sure definitely not the same, or so you can know. Normally you'd get all these values from your designer, and you just plug them into Android Studio, probably put them in a resources folder and stuff, but these are two separate fragments just to get the point across. And I'm going to change the color to something not so, what's the other, pink, and this will work for now. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead and set up our, well, let's go ahead and just run it actually. And I have an emulator already up, I think, here. Yeah, we do. So let's just wait for this to run in just a second. We should see this. And we should see where we can have the fragment up top. Yeah, so there's a top fragment up there, and there's a bottom fragment. And this could be, it could be a full screen fragment. It could be any type of fragment, really. You could have, 3 fragments, 4 fragments, 1 fragment. The communication method is still pretty much the same. We're going to be using ViewModel, but let's just go ahead and finish this up really quick. So we need to create a couple of, yeah, is this good? Let me think. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so we need to create a fragment. We need to create the actual layout for that, and we need to set it all up. So let's go ahead and just start with maybe, let's go ahead and just do, let's create a new Kotlin file here. We'll call this top fragment. We'll make it a class, and this is going to extend fragment, and we want the v4, that's what we want, v4. So just add that. Okay, cool. And let's go ahead and do this. Let's do on create view, and this is fine. Well, we'll get it set up in just a second, but let's go ahead and create our next fragment. So Kotlin bottom frag class, and this is going to extend fragment, and again we want the v4, so that's what we want. And then gotta do that. In that we'll do on create view. Okay, so this is actually, let's go ahead and do this. Let's do in the bottom. No, let's start with just the top one. So let's do this. We'll do inflator, or let's do return inflator dot inflate, and then this is our layout folder. So our layout, we'll call this r.layout dot top layout. Let's see. So this layout's going to eventually go inside of here, and we'll create a new one in just a second. But let's go ahead and finish this up. So what else do we need? We need a container. Container. Then false. We can pass in false there. So let's go ahead and create our top layout that we need. So it's definitely a layout. So top layout. Let's do that. So let's do new layout file top layout. And let's just go ahead and that's fine. Okay, so we got that. So now let's go back to our bottom fragment, and let's do the same. We can just copy some code. Oh, it's not copied up. I don't like copying code. Just for at least for these videos. So let's do return inflator dot inflate. And then we need the layout, which will be r.layout dot bottom. What do we name this? Bottom fragment or layout container false. Okay, cool. So we need to go ahead and create the bottom layout. So let's do that right now. Let's do layout bottom layout. And this is good for now. Okay, now let's go back into our main activity, and we actually have to set this up. So let's do support fragment manager dot begin transaction dot we'll just do this for now. Let's do r.ed and then what was it called? Go back to cod. This was the ID of this had top fragment. Okay, so top fragment dot commit, I think. We need so replace. Let's do this. Let's do then we'll do this is just this will work for now. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and duplicate that, and let's do bottom fragment, and we'll and let's see. I think this might actually work. Let's run it and see if it crashes or not. This could crash. I don't know. Let's just see what's going on. And it looked like it kind of worked. Okay, cool. So, and we're not going to go into fragments. If you want fragments, leave a comment below, or just in general, leave a comment below what you want me to cover, and I'll make a video on it, or I'll try to make a video on it. I know some people had wanted stuff on Android architecture components, so that's kind of why I'm doing this. And plus I've been doing a lot of this at work, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I thought I was good at it, or not good at it, but decent at it. Can do it at least pretty well. Okay, so let's see what we need to do. So we need some way to pass data. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and go to the bottom layout and add edit text 0dp. We'll do wrap, and then we'll give this an ID of first. Oh, we provided first name. So then let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's do this. Let's do left, left, parent, right, right, parent. Then we also want top, top, parent. Format that, and there's our, we also want a hint. So hint is first name, and we can go ahead and extract that as a string resource and have that there. Oops. Escape. I gotta be careful because I'm on a touch bar on my Mac here. Don't like it so much. Okay, so let's add a little bit of margin. Let's do, wait, is it, yeah, this is the bottom one, right? Yeah, this is the bottom fragment. So let's do this. Let's do, actually no, we want, well, yeah, that's what we want actually. We want it to be on the bottom. So let's give it a little bit of margin. We'll give it 60p. Go back to here. Let's go ahead and run this and see what it looks like. So we should have the edit text on the bottom of the screen. And we do. Okay, so we can type some, you know what, we also need a button. Forgot about that. Let's put in a button. So after this, let's do button. We'll do wrap, and we'll give it the same margin for 60p, and we'll extract that. Let's do general space scene, and let's go back to here and do gen, and there we can see it's really 6dp, and so there we go. Let's do this. Let's do right, right, parent. Let's do left, right to right of, provided first name, and I think this will work. We got to do, I think this, yeah, there we go. Okay, we need to also do, we need to get rid of that, and we need to do right, left, right to left of, and we need to give us an ID. Let's call this ID submit. Let's go ahead and just call it submit. Let's go ahead and do that, and that's not working out quite. So bottom left to left of, right to left of submit, wrap width. Why is this not working? I did something wrong. Okay, so left to right of, provided first name, bottom to bottom, right to right of, I think, what do we need, 0dp? That's trying to figure out, I messed something up here and I can't figure it out. Let's see, ID, layout, width, height, let's do something. Let's do that. Okay, that's constraint bottom to bottom of, left to right of. Okay, bottom to bottom of parent, left to left of parent. I'm gonna get, am I doing that wrong? Anyway, not a big deal. We can fix this later. Delete connection. I'm trying to, I usually use the layout editor for this. I don't usually do this. Here, I'll try, let's go ahead and just do text. Let's do text equals, we'll do submit. Oh, width. I think I messed that up. 0dp. There we go. That's not exactly what we wanted. So first name is, I'm a little bit puzzled by this. I usually don't have a problem with constraint layout because I've been doing HTML for, let's do that. Submit. Not that. Save it. So with the 0dp wrap content, left, right to left of submit. Then we have wrap content. Okay. Left to right of. Anyway, not a big deal. I'm sure there's something simple that I'm not seeing. I just did this like 20 minutes ago. I just did this, and it worked out just fine. Let's do wrap. What if we wrap both of them? Anyway, not a big deal. Okay, that'll work for now. Actually, we'll just force it. We'll do this. We'll do 100 dp. You know, I don't like this at all because it's supposed to be perfect. So what if we make that 300 dp? What if you make it 200 EP? Why is it should just work? Wrap. So we have a left constraint, right, and a right constraint. So this should be work. Whatever. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it as is. I'm not gonna mess with it anymore. We're done with it. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and run this really quick. And let's go back to our emulator. And it kind of ticks me off that I couldn't fix that in this video. I'm sure there's like something simple that I'm not doing, but we can type out our name and hit the submit button. Okay, so this is kind of working. So not exactly perfect, but just for this demo, it'll be good enough, I think. And I just, whatever, can't figure it out. Whatever. Okay, cool. So bottom fragment. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to set up the communication. So if I go back to the demo, you can see that there's my top fragment and there's my bottom fragment. So when I type in my name, I want to do, so when I type in Daniel Malone and hit the submit button, I want to hit display up at the top. And while we're at, let's go back into our manifest. And for this activity, let's do soft adjust resize. I think that might work. And if you notice, what happened was when I open up the keyboard, it shifts. You can't see the top fragment anymore. It goes away. So I think let's run this and see what it does. I think this might do it. I was just playing around with this a minute ago. Yeah, there we go. So now we still have our top fragment up there. Before when we opened up the keyboard, it would slide that up to there. So this red part right here would be pushed out of view. So we're done with that there. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our view model. So let's go here and just new Kotlin. We'll call this main view model. You can call it anything, but it's kind of a convention to call it something view model, and this is going to be a class. And now we want to extend, so we're in Kotlin, so extend view model. So there we are. Okay, now this is kind of going to be this is the class that will have our data in it. So we'll have, Daniel, so we'll have Daniel Malone, and we'll send it from this fragment at the bottom, and we'll send it up to the top. So what do we need to do? Let's do this. Let's do val first name, and the type of this needs to be mutable live data string, and this legal mutable live data. So that's all we need to do in this class. So I'm going to go ahead and just go back here. Now we need to actually set this up. So let's do this. Let's do val. Let's do late init val. We'll do this view model, main view model. That works just fine. Now we go back inside of onCreate and do view model dot first name dot observe. So every time this view model first name changes, and again, that's right here. So every time this changes, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the code inside of that. Oh, we need observer. So every time, so it's gonna go into view model, so it's gonna go into here, and it's gonna say, hey, whenever the first name changes, I want you to do all of that right there. So here's our view model. So we're going to get the first name, and we're going to say, hey, every time it changes, we're going to do all of this stuff. Everything we put inside of here will happen once this first name gets changed. It's listening every millisecond or every second or whatever. It's just constantly listening and saying, hey, is it changing? Is it changing? Or think of it that way, basically. But it's going to see every time it changes. So let's do this. Let's do every time the first. Actually, that's not exactly what we want. Never mind. So let's copy this. Let's clean up a little bit. Let's get rid of. I don't like that. 0dp. Margin submit. We have bottom to bottom of, parent left to right of, first name, right of. Can't figure it out. Whatever. So we're done with that. We're done with that, and we're done with that, and we're done with our view model. So what I want to do is I actually want to take this out of main activity, and I want to put it inside both of these fragments. So go ahead, if you're following along, sorry about that. we need this in our fragments, because we're not going to actually use our activity we can just copy this code. I'm going to get sorry about that. That's just my mistake. So the top fragment is what we wanted to display the text as. So let's go to top fragment and let's do this. Let's do val view equals, and then for now let's just force it. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do paste. Yeah, this is the top fragment. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and import that. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, so in our top fragment, which again, our top fragment is up there, right? That's our top fragment. Every time the first name changes, oh, I know what we need to do. What's that about? Oh, we need to return it. So let's do return, let's not do that, view. So there's our view there. So what we need to do is in our top fragment or top layout, we need to add something. We need to add text view, and we'll actually do ID. We'll do welcome. Let's do a welcome message, and we'll set the initial text to welcome. If I can spell that. Okay, cool. So there's our welcome message. Now let's do this. Let's do left parent, right parent, bottom parent, and top parent. Okay, so this should be centered now in the middle, and it is. And we have an ID of welcome message. I'm going to close that because I never use it. So let's go ahead and just extract this as a string resource, and we'll call this message. And we'll go ahead and preview that there so we can see welcome. So that's going to be our initial text of welcome right there. Okay, so that's good. So now let's go back to what do we need to do next? Let's see. Oh yeah, so our top fragment. So every time inside of our top fragment here, whenever first name changes, whenever somebody types it out and hits the submit button, what we want to do is we want to do something. So let's do this. I think we gave it an ID of welcome message. Yes, so welcome message right there. So let's do welcome message dot text equals it's, and that should work, I think. Okay, so now we're listening for it. So let's go ahead and run that, and I think this is not going to give us the end result that we want, but at least this is progress. And it crashed, and let's see. Oh, I know what I did. I didn't actually set it up. I don't need to read that. So let's go back to here and let's do this. Let's do view model. I didn't set it up. So yeah, so basically what that error said, I guess, was that we hadn't actually set up view model. And that's late in it, which means we're going to initialize it later. So let's do this. Let's do enters. Then every time you access the view model, so every time you access this class right here, you kind of need to do this. Where was I? Top fragment, bottom fragment. Here we go. So let's do this. Let's do. Wait, is that where I was? Top fragment. Oh, here we are. Okay, top fragment equals view model. Now there are two of these, but we want providers there. Dot of, and then we'll pass an activity, and we'll get the class called main view model. So main view model class Java. Okay, now this should work. Let's run it and see. Actually, I don't know if we need the other one also before this works. Okay, so what we're going to do is when we type out Daniel there and hit submit button, we want that welcome message to change. So we kind of have this set up here. So we're kind of listening for it in our top fragment. So in the top part right there, we're listening for every time the first name changes, and we're gonna do all of that every time the first name changes. So now we need to go to the bottom fragment and kind of do the same thing. So let's do this again. Let's trying to think here. Let's go ahead and do, let's just val view equals, and then we'll just use that for now. Force it to not be null, and let's do this. Let's do return, not that, return view, and let's do our stuff here. Now let's do, oh yeah, view model equals and then view model providers dot of activity. And it's really important that the same thing you pass in on the bottom fragment, so the activity that we pass in there is the same that we're passing in the top fragment. So as long as they're the same, and they're both say activity, then that will work. Dot get and then view, model. Let's do main view model class dot Java. Okay, there we go. So now whenever on the, let's go to the, we're done with that now. Let's go to the bottom layout, and every time, let's extract that really quick. Okay, cool. So every time that it's still taking me off that I can't figure that out. So it's got a submit button, 0. Height is wrap, first name, so bottom to bottom of left. And then right to right of, left to right of, whatever. So every time we hit this button, so every time submit. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and go back to bottom fragment, and let's do every time the, what was it called? Every time the let's do this. Every time the submit button is, every time that is clicked on, what we want to do is you want to say, hey, view model dot first name. And then this is really important. Don't do equals, do dot value equal testing. Okay, so let's go ahead and just, this might crash, but let's just see if it will work. And this is not quite how we want it to function, but I'm going to click the button there, ready, 1, 2, 3, click, and now it says testing here. So we're really close. We're communicating from the bottom fragment to the top fragment. So let's go ahead and do one last thing, which is go to the bottom fragment, and instead of sending testing here, what we want to do, we want to send view dot, and then what do we call it? Provided, yeah, I think we call it provided dot get text dot to string, and I think that's what we called it there. So bottom, yeah, provided first name. So I'm going to go ahead and just run this, and I think this might work. So let's test it out and see. Let's do Daniel, submit, and there we are. Sure enough, you see Daniel there. I'm going to go ahead and make the top layout a little bit larger. So text size, and we'll do this 30 SP, and I'm going to run it again, and that should be a lot bigger now. So there's our welcome. I'm going to type in Mike, and there we go. I'm going to type in Steve, and there we go. I'm going to type in Daniel, and there we go. So while this concept maybe in this application isn't so useful, this is extremely useful, because instead of having to send around like 10 extras and bundles and stuff, you can just use ViewModel and Live. Let me open it back up. We can use this class here. So what we did is we just extend ViewModel, and then we give it the type of mutable live data, and then it's a string. This could be an integer, this could be a whatever. So we're basically going to say this variable first name is going to be, we're going to listen for updates. It's going to be, I don't know why it's called live data, maybe because it's kind of maybe because it updates live. But anyway, so this is kind of what I wanted to, I mean, I guess it's pretty much working. Not very pretty, but you kind of get the point. You can see that we move stuff from one fragment to another fragment. Oh, one more thing. So if you have requests for videos, I have a LinkedIn profile, and I'll put it in the description. But if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message of what you want me to make videos on, I can make videos on it. Everything from like RxJava to Android architecture components to fragments to constraint layout to like how to use Firebase or Google Cloud Platform or Facebook like newsfeed stuff, whatever you want. I'll put this link in the description. You can send me a message here, and you can let me know what you want me to make videos on. So I guess that's it. Thanks so much.